Alright, we are back, and I am just gonna do a quickie Nephilim riff to get a few more keystones. I took a little time out there. A couple people left a couple of comments in some of the videos asking about some of my build. I think maybe next episode, or maybe the episode after that, I'll go over my character again. It's been a while. I guess it's been episode 224 was my last review of my current build. I mean, I could do it now, but let's see. Let me just see if I could just show it real quick. Well, it's a basic carnival poison dart. I don't know if that's the technical name for it. They have names for a lot of these builds, but it's you use this helmet here, Carnival, along with the poison dart, which I have in my cube, and the fetish sycophant's passive skill. And you summon up a bunch of these little guys, and every time you shoot your poison dart, 10 of these fetish sycophants closest to you will also shoot out a poison dart. And it just deals so much damage. It's just tough to compare it with any other build for the Witch Doctor. Let's see, what are my other items? Okay, I'm wearing the Pauldrons of the Skeleton King. This has saved me actually a lot. When you die, instead of dying, there's a 25% chance that it will save you, and this has saved me quite a few times. My amulet is the S18. As I'm shooting my enemies, occasionally, I don't know exactly what the chance is, but occasionally they will all the enemies in the area will get sucked right into one spot, and they get slowed by 80%, and I get a lot of what I call collateral kills with this, because my darts just start shooting everyone in the area. Seems to do a pretty good job, especially if there is an elite pack where there's like 5 of them. A lot of times they'll all get sucked into one area, and I can kill them all at once. Works pretty well. This is the Aquila Quiris. This basically gives me a 50% damage reduction. It gives that when your primary resource is above 90%, which mine almost always is in this build, because my poison dart is the one that gives me mana every time I shoot it. So if I spend mana, which I do with Paranado, I get it right back. So that works pretty well. This is St. Archu's Gauge. Basically, this gives me 10 free seconds where I'm almost, I wouldn't say immune, but I've got 10 free seconds whenever I encounter an elite pack. I usually don't have to worry about dying at all because I get this absorb shield.
I waited 1,500 years for this. Should I return to my slumber?
A lot of people prefer something called Tasker and Theo, and I've recently learned that they like this not for the increase in damage that it offers, but actually it increases the healing power of these zombie dogs. These zombie dogs heal you when they attack. So by having these on, the zombie dogs attack faster, and since they attack faster, they heal you faster. It's just with my current build, usually my issue is not with recovery. If I die, it's usually a matter of toughness. So I prefer this right here, which seems to do a pretty good job of keeping me alive against the elite packs, at least for the first 10 seconds or so. I used a string of ears, reduces damage from melee attacks by 30%, which comes in really handy against some of those Rift Guardians that do a lot of physical melee attacks, like the Carver, which is like the Butcher. I wear the Oculus Ring. It's a pretty good one. It's not the maximum damage, it's 80%, but that's still pretty much on the high side. So that gives me that little yellow ring on the battlefield that I can jump into to boost my damage up when I'm in it. I wear Unity. Unity, when combined with Unity on your follower and this is called the Enchantress Focus. When it says your follower cannot die, it basically makes it so that you've got a 50% damage reduction. Works really well. I've got Depth Diggers on. Depth Diggers boosts up the damage of my primary skills that generate resource, which mine does. So when I boost up my damage of this poison dart, it boosts up the damage of the poison darts that my fetishes shoot out. They're directly related to each other. I don't know exactly how it's calculated, but wearing this basically gives me an extra 99% damage, which is almost at the maximum. I got a really good pair of Depth Diggers this season. I like these boots. These are illusory boots. Not everyone wears these, but I really like these. They just allow me free access to run almost anywhere on the battlefield, and I believe it even allows me to run through walls that wallers shoot up. So I really like these. Other people like other boots, but these I've just had a lot of good luck with. My offhand is the Ucapian Serpent, which gives me 27%, almost 27% damage reduction. The damage gets redirected to these guys. Really good defensively. And the base damage on it is pretty good. I got a pretty good offhand this season with this, so that's why I'm holding on to it. I use Sacred Harvester and Lacumba's Ornament, which basically gives you a 60% damage reduction when this is fully stacked up to 10 stacks. A lot of people are not using this season. A lot of people are using Echoing Fury. I would like to try it, but I would need a fairly good Dagger of Darts, which I just don't have right now. This one is mediocre. The base damage is, I wouldn't say it's low, but it's not necessarily high either. Somewhere in the middle, I guess. Maybe a little above medium. But that bonus to poison dart damage at 434% is, for me, it's a little on the low side. And I'm just a little bit leery about giving it up. And I don't have any ancient legendary version of the Echoing Fury yet. So I've been holding off on that. I do want to try it, though. I've heard good things about it. I just haven't had a good one yet. Do not yet have an ancient legendary Flavor of Time. A lot of people use it. I don't know if I would give up my S of Johan for it. Maybe. I just don't like my success or failure to be based upon things like whether or not I get good pylons. If I go into a rift and there aren't very many pylons, or they aren't that great for my build, then this becomes almost useless. Whereas my S of Johan is pretty much useful any map, regardless of the type of map that I get or creatures that I encounter. A lot of people use Squirt's Necklace, but this build is what they call it squishy, which means that it's your toughness is usually not very high compared to other builds, and you can die a lot. Wearing this Squirt's Necklace, I've just found I die way too easily. I've tried it a couple times, and I just didn't like it, so I've just been sticking with the S of Johan for now. Maybe if I were to get a good one that's fairly defensive, I would keep it. But for now, I'm just sticking with this S of Johan. I've got the Mask of Jaram in my cube here, as well as the Dagger of Darts, which is necessary for the build. and I use Convention of the Elements in my cube. I do have an ancient legendary version of it, but it's only, I think, a bonus of 166%, whereas in the cube it's a 200%. So I use this one in my cube. And this potion I actually like. Normally I don't like to fear my enemies. I'd rather have them come to me, but with this, it's nice if I'm in a desperate situation and I hit that potion button. It's nice to make the enemies run away for a couple of seconds. So these are my skills. I got the poison dart, which is, necessary for the build. I use Paranado, which acts a lot like the S18. It pools all the enemies, sucks them all into a tornado type of thing. That way I can get collateral kills. I use Spirit Walk with Severance, so that way I'm immune to damage for 2 seconds, and my movement rate is increased by 100% while it's active. I use Soul Harvest. I like the one where I gain movement speed. There's another one that a lot of people like to use. It's one where you gain a bonus to your armor. I like the one where I gain a bonus to movement speed. Maybe later on, as I do higher level, greater rifts, maybe I'll switch to the armor one, but for now I'm sticking with the bonus to movement speed. I've got Big Bad Voodoo, which I don't know exactly how it's calculated, but I either gain roughly 30% to damage or 45%, depending upon how it's calculated. All I know is it's 40%, 15% damage, bonus to damage, 15% bonus to attack speed, which is at least 30% increase to my overall damage when it's active. And with the seasonal buff, where you can jump into the blue circles, I can use this a lot this season. Last season I couldn't use it all that much because I didn't have, or maybe I did use a lot last season because I had different passive skills, but this season I can use it a lot. So it comes in really handy when I can activate it. And I got summoned zombie dogs with leeching beasts, so they hit me, they heal me for my life per hit as they attack, which my life per hit is a little bit lower than what I like, but it's still healing me quite a bit. For my passive skills, I got Pierce the Veil for an extra 20% overall damage. Spirit Vessel.
I waited 1,500 years for this. Should I return to my slumber?
Not everyone uses this, but I like it. It basically saves my behind a lot. If I die instead of dying, this saves me and basically gives me an extra life. The fetish sycophants, which is part of the build. I use Zombie Handler for an extra 20% to my life and an extra zombie dog for a little extra healing. A lot of people don't like this. A lot of people will use either Confidence Ritual for an extra 25% damage and or Grave Injustice for extra cooldown and healing. I used these two last season. I haven't used them this season because of the seasonal community event buff, I guess they call it. It's those little circles that pop up when you're attacking. This season I want to feel like I can jump into those circles wherever they are. Those passive skills, Grave Injustice and Confidence Ritual, you have to be pretty close to the enemy. You have to be within 20 yards. And I don't want to feel like I need to be near the enemies this season. Especially like with Grave Injustice, you only get bonuses if you kill your enemies. And if I am just going after elites, which is basically what I'm doing, you only get the benefit of this when you kill your enemies, and you're only going after elites. So this isn't really going to help me out too much. It might help me out more next season with some of the things I've been reading about it. But yeah, anyways, the main reason is I don't want to have to be close to my enemy this season. I want to be able to feel like if one of those circles, if my enemy is here, and one of those circles pops up over here, I want to be able to run right over to it. And same thing is true with my Oculus ring. I want to be able to jump into that Oculus ring wherever it pops up. And that strategy seems to be working out pretty well this season. Last season they didn't have this community event. So I was using Grave Injustice and Confidence Ritual, just not this season. With my Enchantress, I've got her set up with this lightning weapon, Thunder Fury, with this weird ring. Whenever she hits with lightning damage, 35% chance she stuns the enemy for a second and a half. And I've also got her with Dovu, increasing the duration of stun even more. I'm hoping that works. I think it works with her. I don't know why it wouldn't. But there aren't very many good amulets for a follower anyways, as far as I am aware of. So even if it's not working in conjunction with this, it doesn't really matter too much. At least she's gaining a 7% attack speed. But she stuns enemies a lot. Especially if you watch any of the Rift Guardians at the very end of the Rifts. If they are ones that do not summon up helpers or pets, they get stunned. I mean, a lot, really a lot. It's I think it's called the Man Carver or the Carver. He doesn't summon up anyone. He's stunned for a third to a half of the battle just from her, and it's really nice to see that. I really have a good time with that. So that's my main build at the moment. I use for my legendary gems. Got the two obvious ones. I've got Enforcer, and I've got Simplicity Strength, which increases the damage of my primary skill by 78%. So therefore, my pet's Poison Dart's damage increases as well, and it heals me too. And of course, the Legacy of Dreams legendary gem. I have a separate build with multiplayer. It's basically the same thing, except I can't use Unity because I lose my follower in multiplayer. So I have this. It's Mara's Kaleidoscope. This makes me immune to poison. And I put the S of Johann in my cube. So when I'm doing a multiplayer Greater Rift, I've found that I definitely need to beef up my toughness, my defenses a lot. So that's why I go with this one. So I'm immune to that poison, and I've got that plus 1,000% to vitality. One of the people who left a comment said it might be better to have the 100% bonus to critical hit damage, which I'm sure that would be really nice. But in those 4-player multiplayer Greater Rifts, some of the enemies I encounter do a lot of damage, and I really try to keep my my toughness up as high as I can. Otherwise, I just end up dying, and when you die in a Greater Rift, you get one less rank up on your legendary gems. So I really try to avoid dying in those if I can. If I do a vault run, I've got the Nagel ring. Works really well. It gives me a bonus of 50.
I waited 1,500 years for this. Should I return to my slumber?
Bonus of 50% to my magic find. That's the main reason why I wear the Nagel ring whenever I'm doing any kind of like farming, especially when I go into a vault. And I wear gold skin, gold wrap, and Kimbo's gold. The three of them, they just give me so much money. I may not even need to use it too much anymore. I've got tons of money. I probably don't even need it anymore. And I've got a Boon of the Hoarder in there too as one of my legendary gems. So those 4 things just give me so much money. And I've got purple gems mainly because I don't have my Aquilaquiris. I don't have my String of Ears, and I don't have my S of Johann, so that puts me a little bit at risk against greed. So I just beef up my defense a little bit. It doesn't really matter too much, but I just add on to my my defense a little bit with those purple gems. Some people use red gems or green gems in here to boost up their armor. I don't know. I just use purple gems. I don't. It doesn't really make all that much of a difference to me in a vault run. I was when I was doing my Nephilim rifts, I was using basically the same build here, just going with a few more gold-based things, but I have since switched to a Jade Harvester build where I can use the Sage's Journey. That doubles my Death Breath, because I was running out of Death Breath a lot by reforging, upgrading rare items into legendary. So I've got my Jade Harvester build with this setup. This is for basically Nephilim Rifts. So I've got Sage's Journey with the helm and the belt, and of course my Jade Harvester build. And I got my Ring of Royal Grandeur. It's an ancient legendary, pretty good. I still keep the S of Johann. In my cube, I've got the Furnace. I don't know how to pronounce that. Quetzalcoatl, to increase the damage of my Haunt and Locust Swarm. And I keep Unity in my cube. I still keep Boon of the Hoarder, just to get a little bit of money from Nephilim Rifts. I've got a Primal Jade Harvester Courage. I could probably switch out that Regenerate Life per Second. I just haven't really needed it. And here I do keep Grave Injustice and Confidence Ritual, because to do the big damage with Jade Harvester, you've got to be close to your enemies anyways. So I do have those with this build here. And I keep Creeping Death. You have to have that with the Jade Harvester build. Otherwise, it doesn't work. And yeah, I got Primal Sacred Harvester. Did I mention that yet? Primal Sacred Harvester? Let's see. And when I do bounty runs, multiplayer bounty runs, can't use Unity. So once again, I go back to Nagel Ring. The only major difference with the bounty run is I love these Gloves of Worship. I love going and finding shrines and having like 3 or 4 shrines be in effect the whole time. It may not help all that much, but it makes me feel good, so I keep it. And I keep Molten Wildebeest Gizzard as my legendary gem in a bounty run, because sometimes you go on a bounty run and you can meet a boss like Malthael. He's actually pretty tough to beat with a 4-player in a 4-player game. And I've actually had a lot of trouble with him. He's actually killed me quite a few times in those bounty runs. So I try and keep as defensive as possible. So I go with this one instead of Simplicity's Strength. And that's pretty much it. So that's my setup, and I'm about to do a Nephilim Rift, a quickie one, just for a few more gems. I hope I didn't miss anything in all of that. I don't think I did, but let's get my Jade Harvester build. Sometimes when I do these Nephilim Rifts, I have to remember how to play the Jade Harvester. A lot of times I go in there and I'm thinking I'm doing Poison Dart, so sometimes I end up dying, or at least coming close to dying. Did a little quickie Nephilim Rift.
Embrace your power, and you will survive.
Didn't I just kill him? Guess not.
Thrilling battle.
I don't know if you could tell, but I almost just died there in the beginning. Because once again, like I said, trying really hard to just go after primarily just the elites. Increase my death breath find.
More time.
I keep my nemesis bracers in my stash here, and I best basically put them on when I'm going to hit a shrine. I'm just trying to just go after the elites for the death breath, basically.
Not ready yet. I curse the needs more time. Not ready yet. Your evil undoes. Right at your heart.
Nice. Experience point bonus. I like it.
I need healing. Your healing undoes me.
So many times, I swear, I have a memory lapse or something and I forget to cast this and recharge my stacks. That's what happened there. I don't know how I managed to forget that. Happens a lot, though.
A perfect strike. Need more time. Your day comes. Not ready yet. My curse on you. Your day comes. Needs more time. My strike is true. My curse on you.
The Rift Guardian has found me.
teleporting away. Alright. Well, I do want to see the shrine. Do this real fast.
Strike at your heart.
Alright, let's hit.
I am returning to town.
I am returning to town. Alright.
Well fought, Nephilim.
Thank you.
Anything could happen. See you soon.
That costs too much.
Oh, okay. 445 death breath. I love it. Working out really well. Let's upgrade 2 of these.
I suppose that will work.
The Sacred Harvester.
You're imaginative, aren't you?
Alrighty. I was gonna do some multiplayer greater rifting, but I don't think I've got enough time and energy left in me tonight. So I'll probably come back and do a couple of single player greater rifts. 8 keystones. And that'll probably be it for the night. Okay, I will be back shortly.